Hello everyone, welcome to our channel Knowledge Hub. Friends, subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon for the latest update. आज हम लोग जो क्लास करेंगे वो इंडस्ट्रियल मैनेजमेंट की क्लास करेंगे, जो कि क्लास नंबर आपका 9 है। ऑलरेडी हमने 8 क्लासेस कर लिया है, जिसमें अगर हम बात करते हैं तो हमने यूनिट 1, यूनिट 2 और यूनिट 3 कंप्लीट कर लिया है। यूनिट 4 होपफुली आज की क्लास में हम इसे कंप्लीट कर भी लेंगे। एंड फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, इट्स अ ह्यूज रिक्वेस्ट टू ऑल द सब्सक्राइबर, all the viewers, that those who had not yet subscribed our channel, please go through with the subscribe button so that you will get all the information regarding what we are uploading in the reference towards the engineering classes as well as the competition classes that we are uploading here. So it's a huge request to all of you, please go through with the subscribe button and like, share and subscribe our channel. In the last class we had discussed about the control limits as well. In that references we'll discuss some of we'll revise some of this thing in a very easy way, that what is measured is the number of the defective in the samples of the constant size in, and the chart name is that NP chart or a PN chart here. The attributed chart, it is the NP number of the defective and the sample of the size in, and then the centers line as well, that is NP bar as well. And the warning, that is your warning lines is that NP bar plus minus 2 under root NP bar 1 minus P bar here, and the action of control lines is that NP bar plus minus 3 under root NP bar 1 minus P bar. We can say that N is the number sample size, the P is the proportion defective, and the P bar is the average of P. In the second one, we will say that the proportion defective in a sample of a variable size, that P, the chart name is the P chart, and the attribute chart is that P is the ratio of the defective to the sample size, and where the centers line is that P bar, and P bar plus 2 under root P bar 1 minus P bar, that is an abstract, and then bar, that is the formula, you can say that action of control and warning lines, where N bar is the average sample size and a P bar is the average value of P as well. In the same case that we have for the number of the defect, that flaws of the simple here, and then after that for the U as well, the U chart, C chart, P chart and NP chart, and the PN chart that we had to discuss here. Let's go ahead to today's class. Only valid when and a zone is n plus, that is plus minus 25% here. That we'll find it out when we'll do the question here. So in the case of the sample, the acceptance sampling here, in the terms of the acceptance sampling, that is also an important point, and that has been asked in the many of the examinations as well. That is asked in the 26 16 17 17 18, and of course of 10 marks, and 14 15 of 10 marks as well. In the case of the acceptance sampling, what it stands for, the acceptance sampling is a statistical method that enables us to accept or reject the decision in the impactions of a sample of items from the lot here. In this case of the acceptance sampling, the purpose of the acceptance sampling is to decide whether a lot satisfy predetermined standard specification for the important characteristics of the item. That lots that satisfy these standards are passed or accepted, those that do not are rejected. In the acceptance sampling is a form of a quality testing used for the incoming material or a finished good, that is your purchase material and component as well. The procedure of acceptance sampling consists of the following steps. The first step is that take one and more samples at a random from a lot, that is a shipment of items. The second is to inspect each of the item in the sample, and the third is to decide whether to reject the whole lot based on the inspection result. Now we'll discuss about the advantages of acceptance sampling. In the regard of the advantages of acceptance sampling is, the acceptance sampling has the following advantages over the inspection. The first advantage is that is less expensive. The second is that the less product damage due to the less handling. The third is the fewer inspections required. The fourth is to provide only approach possible if destructive testing must be used. The fifth advantage is that the lot of the disposed of in the shorter time, so that the scheduling and the delivery are improved. And the sixth advantage is the problem of the monotony and the inspector error induced by the 100% inspections is minimized. The seventh acceptance sampling we have is that the rejection rather than sorting of non-conforming large strands to the dramatize the quality deficiencies and to urge the organization to look the preventive measure as well. The eighth advantages we have is that the proper design of the sampling plan commonly requires the study of the actual level of quality required by the user. The resulting knowledge is a useful input to overall quality planning as well. In the regard of it, and I will discuss ahead with this acceptance plan. And before discussing the acceptance plans, we'll have to know about the acceptance plans here. In the acceptance plan, an acceptance plans consist of the procedure for inspecting the incoming material or the finished good, that identifies the types of the sample sizes like the N and the criteria C, and used to reject or accept a lot as well. In the regard of it, an acceptance plan is a negotiated and decided by the producer, that is the supplier, and the consumer, that is the buyer, but must negotiate. Where in an acceptance plan, the variety of the sampling plan can be used as well. There are the two types, that is a single sampling plan and the double sampling plan. In the single sampling plan here, the single sampling plan is a decision rule to accept or reject a lot based on the results on the random sample for our lot here. And the procedure is to take a random sample of size, that is an inspect of each item. If the number of the defect does not exceed a specified acceptance number, that is a C, the consumer accepts the entire here. In the single sampling plan, any defect found in the sample are either repaired or returned to the producer. If the number of the defects in the sample is greater than C, then the consumer subjects the entire lot of 100% inspection or reject the entire lot and returns it to the producer as well. In the case of the double sampling plan here, in the double sampling plan, a double sampling plan allows taking a second sample if the results of the initial sample are inconclusive, and especially if the quality of the initial sample is high. The lot can be accepted without the need of the second sample as well. If the quality in the initial sample is poor, the lot is rejected, and there is also no need for a second sample as well. For the result between those two cases, a second sample is then taken and the item is inspected, after which the lot is either accepted or rejected on the basis of the evidence obtained from both samples as well. In the regard of it, a double sampling plan specifies the size of the initial samples. They accept or reject the criteria for the initial sample, the size of the second sample, and the single overall acceptance number as well. The two sample sizes, that is the N1 and N2, and the two acceptance number, that is the C1 and C2. If the quality of the lot is very good and or very bad, the consumer can make a decision to accept or the reject the lot on the basis of the first sample, which is smaller than that of the single sampling plan as well. To use the plan, the consumer takes the random samples of the size N1, and if the number of the defect is less than that equals to C1, the consumer accepts the lot as well. If the number of the defects is greater than C2, the consumer rejects the lot, and if the number of the defects is between C1 and C2, the consumer takes a second sample of the size N2. If the combined number of the defects in the two samples is less than or equals to C2, the consumer accepts the lot, and otherwise it is a rejected here. In the case, a double sampling plan can be significantly reduce the cost of the inspections related to the single sampling plan for lot, and with a very low or a very high proportion defective, because a decision can be made after taking the first sample. However, if the decision requires two samples, the sampling cost can be greater than those of for the single sampling plan as well. Now we will go ahead with another one, and that is your TQM here. In the reference to the TQM is very important, because here in the reference to the TQM, before that we'll understood about the quality here, that what is the quality, because the TQM stands for the total quality management. So you have to know with the quality, as in the earlier class, in the last class I had explained you in a deep way what is quality, but now I will just revise it out, that the qualities are both user oriented and the production oriented expressions. From the user point of view, the quality is an expression of the product or the services, that usefulness is a meeting to the needs of the expectations, and its reliability, safety, and as well as the durability as well. In the case of the from the production point of view, the quality of the product is measured by the quality of conformance. The quality of the design is concerned with the stringency of the specification and manufacturing the product as well. The quality of the conformance is concerned with how well the manufactured product conforms the original requirements. From the viewpoint of TQM, the quality is everything that an organization does in the eye of its customer, which will encourage them to regard the organization as one of the best in its particular field of the operation as well. Now, in the reference to the TQM, that is the total quality management here. The total quality management is a comprehensive and integrated way of managing any organizations in order to, that the first is to meet the need of the customer consistently, and the second is to achieve the continuous improvement in every aspects of the organization activities as well. Now we'll discuss about the fundamental assumptions in the TQM here. The fundamental assumptions of the TQM is, the first fundamental assumption in TQM philosophy here, that is the quality is less costly than the poor workmanship, and the second is that employers will naturally try to improve the quality as long as they have an appropriate support. The third is the serious quality improvement requires the cross-functional efforts, and of course the fourth one is that the quality improvement requires the strong commitment of the top management as well. In the regard of it, we can say that with reference towards this, we can say that the TQM is a commitment to the continuous improvement in quality. Now we'll discuss about the principles of TQM, that what we have to discuss here, and that are as follows. The principles of TQM, that we have five principles of TQM. The first we have is the customer on focus, and the second is the work process. The third is analysis and understand variabilities. Fourth is to manage by the fact, and the fifth is the continuous learning and improvement here. In the regard of the principles of TQM here, the first is the customer on focus. In this, the quality of the product and the services is to satisfy the customer. It is necessary not only to satisfy the customer, but an attempt should be in the delight customer. Every activity of the organization should be designed to satisfy the customer here. For the second one, that is the workforce here. In the work process, that the quality of the product and the services depends on the processes that produce them, and therefore it is necessary to specify the need for the higher quality and to train employee to analyze the work process so that they can make improvement in them. The third, we have analyze and understand variabilities. Here, the primary cause of the quality problem that can be traced by the outcome and variances. When the variances are in unacceptable ranges, a search must be made for the cause, and when root cause for the unwanted variabilities in the product or the services that have been identified. Employees can take steps to make the improvement, leading to the better quality as well. In the fourth case, that is managed by fact here, that TQM emphasizes on the systematic collections of the data at every point in the problem solving cycle. The data are collected to determine the high priority problems, to trace their causes, and to choose and analyze the impact of the solution. The data collections and exact analytical tool using the statistics and experimenting with the solutions are much important before the implementing them as well. For the fifth one, that is the continuous learning and improvement, it is obvious to learn from the cause of the failure and always possible to improve as well. Such important and vital to the long run health of the organization. A focus on continuous improvement helps to ensure the employee never stop learning and striving to do better here. Now we'll discuss about the constituents of the TQM here. The constituents of the TQM, that the following are the important constituents of the TQM. The first is the orderliness, the second is the punctuality, the third is the customer services, the fourth is standardization of work, fifth is cleanliness, and the sixth is continuous effort here. In the regard of it, the total quality management must fulfill the various requirements for the customer from the time to time, and it will increase the satisfaction of the consumer. It increases the profit and reduces the cost of the, ultimately increasing the profitability, and the customer satisfaction is the prime objectives of the TQM as well. In the regard of it, we can understand that the objectives of TQM here, the objectives of TQM here is the first objective is that very important and a first aim in the quality and not profit. The second is that TQM must identify and discover the need of the customer. The third is that design responsiveness product and deliver them. The fourth is to reduce overall time and cost. The fifth is the higher customer satisfaction, and sixth is less deficiency as well. Now we'll talk about the benefits of TQM here. In the terms of the benefits of TQM, there are the several benefits of TQM. Some important benefits are, the first benefit is the focused, systematic and a structural approach to enhancing the customer satisfaction. The second is that the process improvement method that reduces or eliminate the problem, that is non-conference cost as well. The third is the tools and the techniques for the improvement quality operating system. And the fourth is that the delivering what the customer wants in the terms of the services, products and the whole experiences. The fifth is that the intrinsic motivations and improved attitude throughout the workforce. The sixth is that the workforce is a proactive, prevention oriented. The seventh is that enhanced communication. Eighth is the reproduction in waste and rework. The ninth is the increase in the process ownership, employee involvement and empowerment as well. The 10th is that everyone from the top to bottom educated, and the 11th is that improve the customers suppliers relationship internally and externally as well. And the 12th is the market competitiveness. These were the benefits of the TQM here, that it's total quality management here. Now we will discuss about some of the ISO certifications here. In the ISO certification, that is what you have to be very clear about it, and in the regard of it we'll discuss here. ISO certification, that is ISO 9000, is a set of the 5 worldwide standard that establish the requirement for the management of quality. Unlike the product standard, these standards are for the quality management system. The purpose is to ensure that the certified company has a quality system in place that will enable it to meet its published quality standards, and the ISO standards are generic in that they apply to all the functions and all the industries as well. The International Organization for Standardization, that is ISO, in the specified international agencies for the standardizations, and at present comprises the national standards bodies of the 91 countries. The American National Standard Institute, that is ANSI, is a member body representing to the United States. The ISO is made up of approximately 180 technical commodities, that each technical commodities is responsible for one of many areas of specification, ranging from the asbestos to zinc as well. The quality system is defined by the ANSI as the collective plans and activities and events that are provided to ensure that the product, process, or services will satisfy the given needs. The quality system is defined by the ISO as the organizational structure, responsibilities, procedures, processes, and the resource for implementing the quality management as well. Now we'll discuss about the need and the concept of ISO 9000. That's what we have to discuss here. The purpose of ISO is to promote the development of the standardization and related world activities in order to facilitate the international exchange of the goods and the services, and to develop the cooperation in intellectual, scientific, technological, and economical activities as well. The result of ISO technical work are published as international standards and ISO 9000 series in the result of this process. ISO 9000 is a series of the 5 international quality standards developed by the International Organization for the Standardization, that is ISO, in Geneva here, that is in Switzerland. And the ISO 9000 standard provides some basic definitions and is a road map to use the other standards of the series in the series as well. The ISO 9001, 9002, 9003 standards are the external quality assurance purpose for use in the contractual situation. ISO 9001 is ensure conformance to a requirements during the design and the development, production, installations, and servicing as well. Therefore, the engineering and the construction firms and manufacturing companies who design, develop, and produce, install, and services their product are covered under this standard. The quality system that required for the ISO 9000 we will discuss here in in the form of that quality system requirements. In the quality system requirements, we are talking about the management responsibilities are to inspect inspections, measuring, and test equipment as well. The second is the quality requirement as the second 9001 ISO is, that is a quality system where the inspection and the test status here, and the contract view, that is the control of the non-conforming product, and then design control, that is the corrective action. The fourth we have is so with regard of it, that as I told you about the contract review, that is a contract of non conforming the product, and the design control, that is the corrective action, and the document control, that is handling, storage, and packaging and delivery as well, and the purchasing, that is the quality records, the purchase supplied product, that is internal quality audits, and then we have a product identification and the traceability, that is training, and process control, that is servicing and inspections and testing, that is a statistical technique, that is ISO 9001 quality system as well.
In the ISO 9002, this specifies a model for quality assurance, and when only production and installations conformance is required, this standard is particularly relevant to process industry, where the specific requirement for the products are stated in the terms of an established design or the specifications under the ISO 9002. ISO 9003 requires only conformance in the final inspections and the testing. The standard concerns the small shops, equipment, and the distributors that inspect and test the product they supply, or the division within organizations such as laboratories as well. In the ISO 9004 here, that contains the guidance on a technical and administrative and human factors that is affecting the quality of the product and services. This standard provides a guideline for developing and implementing a quality system. We will talk about the ISO 9000 and ISO 9004 that provides the guidance to all organization and the quality management purposes as well. In the ISO 9001, the ISO 9002 and the ISO 9003 are used for the external quality assurance purposes in the contractual situations here. In an ANSI, that is ASQC, Q90 and Q94 are technically equivalent to ISO 9000, ISO 9004 standards respectively, but use customary that American language usage and spelling as well. Now we'll talk about here with regard of it that the quality management in reference to the quality management, because we here will discuss about the types of quality costs, and in the reference towards it, first we have to understood about the quality management, then we have to go on through with the quality cost, and then after that of course we'll discuss about the types of the quality cost as well. And the related to the quality management activities and the functions that is involved in the determinations of the quality policy and its implementations through means such as that is quality planning and quality assurance, including the quality control, is called the quality management. In the terms of the quality cost are the costs that is associated with preventing and detecting and remediating the product issue related to the quality. The quality costs do not involve simply upgrading the preserved, pre-received value of the product to a higher standard, and instead the quality involves the creating and the delivering a product that meets expectations of the customer. Thus, if the customer spends very little for an automobile, he will not expect leather seats and the air conditioners, that is conditioning, but he will expect the vehicle to run properly. In the case the quality is considered to be a vehicle that functions, so rather than the luxurious experiences. The quality costs fall into the four categories here. The first we have is your prevention cost, the second is the appraisal cost, and the third we have is internal failure cost, and the fourth is the external failure call. We'll go ahead with each and every one in a deep. First we'll go with prevention cost. In the prevention cost here, that the prevention cost is incurred in order to keep a quality problem from occurring, and it is the least expensive type of a quality cost, and so is highly recommended as well. In the prevention cost, that can include the proper employee training in the assembling the products and the statistical process control for spotting process that are beginning to generate the defective goods, as well as a robust product design and supplier certification. A focus on the prevention tends to reduce the preventable scrap cost because the scrap never occurs. In the reference towards it, that now we'll go ahead with the appraisal cost. In the appraisal cost, as was the case with the prevention cost, you incurred an appraisal cost in order to keep the quality problem from occurring, and this is done through a variety of inspection. The least expensive is having a production workers inspect both incoming and outgoing part to and fro their workstations, or which catches the problem faster than the other types of the inspection. Other appraisal costs includes the destructions of goods as a part of the testing process, the depreciations of the test equipment, and the supervision of the testing staff. The third we have is internal failure cost. In here, that is an internal failure cost is incurred when a defective product is produced. This appears in the form of the scrapped or the reworked goods as well. The cost of the reworking goods is a part of the cost as well. Now we'll go ahead with the external failure cost here. In the external failure cost, you also incur an external failure cost when a defective product was produced. but now the cost is much more extensive because it includes the cost of the product and recall, warranty claims, field services, and potentially even the legal cost associated with the customer lawsuits. It also includes the relatively unquantifiable cost, which is the cost of the losing customer as well. In the terms of it, now we'll go on through with the quality here. That is the ISO 8402 or ISO 1986 defines the quality as a totality of the features and the characteristics of the product or services that bears on its ability to meet a stated or an implied need as well. In the for that sake, the parameters of quality will have to consider about. The first is the quality, that is Q, then the cost C, the D, delivery, and the S, services as well. That QCDS, in the frame of the quality here, that is the quality characteristics in their narrow sense: performances, purity, strength, dimensions, tolerance, appearance, reliability, lifetime, fractions, defective, and the rework fraction and non-adjustment ratio, packing method, etc. In the terms of the cost here, that is the characteristic related to the cost in the price, that is profit, cost control, and profit control as well. That yield, unit cost, losses, productivity, raw material cost, production cost, fraction, defective, overfills, cost price, and selling price, profit, etc. In the reference towards the delivery here, that is D, that is the characteristics related to the quantities and the lead time, that is the quantity control, the production volume, sales volume changes, over losses, inventory, consumption, and lead times, and the changes in the production plan, etc. Quality control is impossible without the numerical data as well. Now we'll talk about the services, that is the S, the services rendered to customers here. Now we'll talk about what is TQM, that as I told you about total quality management here. Some of the basic concepts we'll discuss related to that. So that the TQM is defined as the integrations of the various functions and the process of organization for achieving the continuous improvement of the quality and the customer satisfaction. If they had asked you about 2 marks, then you can write it down like that. For the basic concepts of the TQM, that is, the first is the committed management, second is to focus in on customers, the third is the proper utilization of resources, the fourth is involving the supplier as a partner in business, and the fifth is establishing the performance management as well. In the statistical quality control, where we'll discuss about the statistical quality control is defined as the technique of applying the statistical method based on the theory of probability and sampling to establish the quality standard and to maintain it in a most economical manner as well. In the reference towards it, SQC method helps in deciding about the specification, production, and the inspections of the product as well. Now we will talk about the process control here. In the terms of the process control, the steps taken to ensure that the output of the process is consistent and stable with the desired level of the performance and the minimal variances is called as process control. In the reference toward it, that SPC stands for the statistical process control, that is SPC is a fundamental approach to quality control and improvement that is based on the objective data and analysis. In the reference towards it, the statistical process control, that is SPC, is a statistical method of separating variation resulting from the spatial causes from the variation resulting from the natural causes in order to eliminate the spatial causes and to establish the maintained consistency in the process, enabling the process improvement as well. Now we'll talk about the flow diagram here, and a flow process chart is a graphical representation of the sequences of all the operations, transportation, inspections, delays, and the shortage occurring during the process or a procedure, or includes the information such as the time required and the distance moved for the purpose of analysis as well. Now we'll discuss about the lines that the control chart consists of 3 horizontal lines. The first is the center line, the second is the upper control line, and the third is the lower control line as well. In the upper central line, the center line is a control chart represent the value which can have 3 different interpretations depending on the available data. First, it can be the average value of the quality characteristic or the average of the polluted points. That second is that it can be standard or the reference value based on the representative prior data, or an aimed targeted value based on the specification. The third is it can be a population parameter if the value is known. The center line is usually represented by a solid line as well. In the upper control line, that is, the upper control line represents the upper value of the variation in the quality characteristic. So this line is the upper called as upper control limit, that is UCL, and usually the UCL is shown by the dotted lines. The lower control line, that is the lower control line, represents the lower value of the variation in the quality characteristic. So this line is called the lower control line, that is LCL. and usually the LCL is shown by the dotted line. Now we'll discuss about the statistical acceptance sampling that has also been asked in the 2 marks question. The sequential acceptance sampling is that sequential acceptance sampling is an ultimate extension of the multiple sampling where the items are selected from a lot at one at a time, and after the inspections of each item a decision is made where the acceptance and the reject lots of the select another item as well. In the regard of it, we can gone through with that this plan is based on the concept of that is the sequential probability ratio of getting the commutative sample result if the material was of barely tolerable quality to the productivity probability of getting this result if the material was of acceptable quality. For the operational purposes, it amounts of drawing an acceptance and a rejection line on a graph with an abscissa and as a total number of the items inspected and ordinate as the number of the defective observed as well. Now we'll go ahead with another one, and that is also an important one, that has been JIT. JIT, this stands for just in a time. Just in time is an inventory strategy that companies employ to increase the efficiency and decrease waste by receiving the goods only as they are needed in the production process, thereby the reducing the inventory costs as well. In the regard of it, this method requires the producers to forecast demand accurately. This is also important because this has been asked in the 1617 and 1718 as well. In order to implement the JIT effectively in improving the productivity and the flexibility, the number of the special techniques are used. All these techniques are derived from above 3 principles. Some important techniques are group technology, that is work in process reduction, training workers for multi-skills, and supply integration as well. Now we'll discuss moreover, and this is the last topic of the session as well, and that is the Kanban. This is a Kanban is a type of a system here, as we'll go ahead. In the reference towards the Kanban here, that a Kanban is a card containing all the information required to done and a product at each stage along its path to completion and which parts are needed as a subsequent process. In this, according to the Kanban is a system is a means of to achieve just-in-time production, and it works on a basis of that each process on the production line pulls just the number and the type of the component and the process required at just the right time. In the reference towards this, today we'll end up with this class, and first of all, it's a huge request to all of you that who had not yet subscribed our channel, please go through with the subscribe button so that you will get all the information regarding it. And as I told you, we'll start with the web technology as well in the next coming 2 days. And after that, I had told you about we had completed that the unit 1, and in the unit 1 we had completed the introduction, concept and scope of industrial management, productivity and definitions and measurement, and the productivity index, the types of production system, and the industrial ownership as well. Now we'll we had completed the unit 2. In the unit 2, the functions of management, the Taylor scientific management theory, Fayol's principles of management, social responsibility of management, introduction to human resource management, and nature of HRM, the functions and importance of HRM here. Now we'll discuss about the unit 3 here, and that is the work study, introduction, definition, objectives, steps in the work study method, and definitions, objectives, steps of method study, work measurement, purposes, types of study, stopwatch methods, steps, allowances, standard time calculations, work sampling, production planning and control, inventory control, inventory cost, models of inventory control, EOQ, ABC, WET. We had completed unit 4 as well, and that we have completed the quality control unit, and that is the statistical quality control charts for the variables and attributes, acceptance sampling, single sampling, double sampling plans, introduction to tritium, that we had end up with the Kanban here. Now we will start with in the next coming classes. This is unit 5, and this is the last unit of the industrial management. And here what we have to complete it we have to complete the project management, project network analysis, CPM, port, and project crashing, and as well as the resource leveling, that we have to cover up in this class. Next coming classes, first of all, it's a huge request to all of you, please go through with the subscribe button, and please like, share and subscribe our channel so that many and maximum people can get the information at once, and even though you can also enjoy the video as well. Thank you, thanks for subscribing us. Thank you.